Very pleased to invite Huhana Lyndon, who is the Raukura, the CEO of Ngātiwai Trust Board. Huhana has had a career in both education and public health, and then back to education, and of course a leader for her iwi. And in fact, we were just talking about the importance of housing and the barriers that get put up to doing simple things like just building. Huhana, very happy to invite you to the stage and to give a few comments on the budget. Thank you. Please put your hands together for Huhana.
Morena tātou katoa. E mihi ana kia koe whaia Jean mo tō krakia, kia tīmata tō tātou kaupapa. O ti rā ka mihi ki ngā mana whenua o tēnei rohe o tātou, te whanganui ātara, Ngāti tua rangatira te Aotearoa Taranaki whānui, tēnei rā he mokopuna o tua rangatira e mihi atu nei kia koutou. Ki ngā mema pāremata, Ibrahim, tō tātou Minita, Priyanka, Auntie Louise, ngā mihi. Kia tātou katoa, tēnā koutou, kia ora anō tātou. My name's Huhana Lyndon. I'm 45 years old today. And I'm a single mother of 3 daughters, and I'm tangata whenua, but I'm a statistic. And my journey's not too dissimilar to many Māori here in Aotearoa. It's about overcoming significant challenges, personally and professionally, coming from rural Taitokero and doing good. But it's an honour and a privilege to serve our people as CEO of Ngātiwai Trust Board. Our vision for Te Iwi o Ngātiwai is kia korikore ngā tōtorore o manaia tūrangarau, to strengthen the well-being of and prosperity for the people of Ngātiwai. Because we're a people of land and sea. As an iwi, we've got strategic goals that seek to support our people to thrive. Pau rangatiratanga, self-determination. Pau tangata, intergenerational well-being. Pau mātauranga, education and learning. Pau taiao, healthy environments. Pau tahua, economic well-being. Now, all of these pau reflect the aspirations of our iwi. And through this lens, I can see that this budget contributes to elements of our iwi pau, but not in its entirety. Today's economic conditions are pitched as something that are out there in the environment, something external to ourselves. But our economy is driven by people and policy. This budget contributes to the economic settings of our country, who succeeds and who fails. We're halfway through the 10-year journey of addressing child poverty through our Labour-led government. So let's reflect on some of those achievements and what the budget says to us today. So as Māori, we've heard and we know and we feel that we are the bottom of every statistic here in Aotearoa. We are the long trail of inequality. And this budget has a narrow focus. And for those of us with tamariki, there's a win for sure. But there's still a long way to go to addressing inequalities, the cost of living for many of our society here in Aotearoa, New Zealand. I think about the Māori budget of 2023, which focuses on whānau, whakapapa and whare. We had $1 billion Māori budget last year, and we've got a reduction this year to $825 million. Next week, when the Māori MPs, the Māori caucus, come to Taitokero, I'll be front row again to celebrate the wins, but also to ask further questions around where's our next steps. The investment into Māori education is a win. It's been neglected over a number of generations, and we need to see Māori medium education lifted up. The $200 million for whai kāinga whai oranga is definitely a support to what already exists in whenua Māori. But the building and repairing of kāinga Māori, and I'm thinking whenua Māori, a lot of people don't understand those remnant parts of whenua Māori are things that we have inherited through generations. We are not seeking to lose that whenua, and in fact, many of us have real challenges in infrastructure. I can name 50-odd families who don't have a road, don't have drinking water or a septic tank right now, living on whenua Māori in Northland. So these are just basic human rights to be able to exist on your ancestral lands and have basic things like a road, a septic tank and access to drinking water. Whānau Water having 168 million, again, to help resource the sector is really important, but we also have to be mindful that many of us access mainstream health services. So from last year's budget where I spoke, we were online last year and we had the Associate Minister of Health, Penny Henare, with us. The pai ora legislation and the changes being made within whatuora and te aka whai ora are a move in the right direction. And as Tiwi Māori, we watch and wait with anticipation because we see it as an entire system, the way with which we can influence the budget and the investment into improving Māori health outcomes. Now in the Māori budget for this year, there's 132 million set aside for Māori health, data management, workforce development and rongoa Māori investment. Let's see what the detail looks like, to be fair. Reflecting on the $5 charges that will be wiped for prescriptions, I think that was the headliner for the budget. And it helps many, absolutely. A barrier to access to those important rongoa that we need from time to time. As a mother of 3 teenage daughters, I was fortunate to benefit from the 20 hours free when it was first implemented, and I know that many of us are working poor and early childhood education costs way too much. So having the extension of 20 hours free for our babies, those 2-year-olds, will be a massive step in the right direction. But the access to early childhood education should be a right for all mokopuna, no matter where you come from, and across the regions as well. Rural Northland has very little access. You have to drive to town. Considering public transport, and I'm here in Wellington, ex-Victoria University. I love Wellington. My teenage daughters are here. Toi whakaari, yay, all of that. Public transport here is amazing. You can get on a bus, a train, a cable car every 5 minutes. In Taitokiro, that's not a reality. So while there is free public transport for under 12s and also half-price public transport for under 25-year-olds, which is a win for urban settings, in Whangarei you're lucky to get a bus once an hour. If you live in Kaikohe, you need a car. We don't have access to the public transport that actually we really need to help connect our towns to cities, to work, and to that infrastructure that rests and sits within places like Kirikiri, also Whangarei, Kaikohe. We need a bigger envelope to enable the required investment we need to support reducing inequalities in Aotearoa. Inflation versus investment. Will there be funding cuts into the future on core infrastructure and core services? I guess that's one of the questions from yesterday's budget. In summary, and I'm doing a short version, Auntie, our economy is not like the weather. It's set by those in power. Taitokiro, we are the Māori rural minority. Most of our whanaunga live in town. We lack many of the core services that we take for granted in urban centres. We are the working poor. We have extreme housing needs. With critical infrastructure failures we saw within our district, and as I've shared, many of our kāinga Māori have a lack of infrastructure in their daily lives. The cyclones and extreme weather events have highlighted what we miss in terms of investment into Te Taitokiro. This budget is a work in progress, it's a contribution, but it's not our silver bullet. We need to address inequalities for our babies and for Tiwi Māori. Ko tai ki te wā, ko eke te wā, now is the time for change. And I think that's the pātai that I'm asking. What are our next steps? Where is the systemic change and the investment that we need for sustainable, enduring solutions for our people? Nō reira, tēnā koutou, kia ora tātou katoa.